Welcome back, Oldhammers, as we delve into the mighty tome that is Warhammer Fantasy Battle 3rd Edition, and we dive into cannons and how they work, all here on Solo Oldhammer Gaming. So, cannons, and how do they work in Warhammer Fantasy Battle 3rd Edition? So, for each crew member, a cannon can move 1 inch. So if you have 3 crew members, then you'll be moving at 3 inches. But the model has to have wheels on it, otherwise it can't move. It's just too heavy. They can be put onto a limber, but for the purposes of the battle, that'd take too long and not going to happen. So long as it's got wheels on it, as this dwarf one does, then yeah, she's movable 3 inches every movement phase. They cannot move in the reserve move phase, but they can move only in the movement phase. If one of the crewmen is killed, then for each crewman killed, you're losing 1 inch. Now, usually we're going to be dealing with 3-man cannons. There are larger ones, up to 6-man cannons, but they're mainly for siege battles. There are 2-man cannons, like Giselle for the Skaven, and the Swivel Gun for the Chaos Dwarves, I think. They have a 2-man cannon in the Realm Chaos books. So, yeah, that's what we're dealing with. Now, the stats for a 3-man cannon, which is the main type, is 48-inch range. On my battlefield, it's 48 inches across, so it's got a lot of range. I'm actually about to extend it to 8x4, but yeah, that's a lot of range. So if you can centrally put your cannon in your battle line and direct it so that it's got good lines of fire where it is, then you're gonna be controlling quite a lot of the battlefield. So what you do is you lay out the 48-inch range. I've only done it to 30 inches here because I'm one-handed, and you place it on top of the cannon, and it's firing. So for this example, we're running through, so there's the tape, but this is really hard to do one-handed. So you're running it through there. Now, a 3-man cannon has strength 7 up to 12 inches. For every 12 inches after that, it drops 1 strength. So 0 to 12, 7 strength. Over 12 to 24, 6, and it just drops down like that. Now, a cannon is able to penetrate 6 ranks of troops. So on the previous example, we would have had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and the Orc archers would have been safe because the ball would have expended its energy. Now, depending on the range is what strength that these guys get hit. So for every rank takes 2 wounds. So the maximum amount of models you're going to be able to upset in a turn would be 12. 6 ranks, 2 wounds per rank is 12. So 12 models would be affected. Now, if for example, because you do have a 90-degree arc of fire, if the cannon fired this way, it would go through the archers, through the orcs, and into the hand-to-hand combat orcs. Now you can see that's 24 at this guy. So that'd be strength. He'd be taking a strength 6, strength 6, strength 5. Because these guys up until 12 inches would be taking this full strength 7. So that'd be 2 ranks, 2 ranks, first 2 ranks. So yeah, pretty easy. Now, if for instance, we have a hedge here, this hedge, so two inches of a hedge is automatically destroyed. So it creates a gap. And it also counts as two ranks. So that would be 1, 2, 2 ranks, 2 ranks, and only going into the first 2 ranks of orcs. So they would get left alone if that was a hedge. If it's a wall, stone wall, it actually counts as 4. So a stone wall is better to hide behind, but it counts as 4. And a 2-inch section of the stone, like a stone wall or a brick wall, would be destroyed on a 4, 5, or 6. Now, if it has, but that counts as 4. Four ranks for a wall, 2 ranks for a hedge, 4 ranks for a wall. And of course you can aim it at buildings and that to try and, because buildings have a toughness value, like those ones, they have toughness value and strength and like some structural points like wounds as well. So they can be destroyed by cannons as well. Good way to get enemy troops out of a building if you don't want to clear it by hand to hand. Now, if your cannon is on top of a hill, then you can shoot to another top of the hill, and all all terrain and troops would be safe from that. If you're down on the bottom of the hill and you're shooting up, you can only shoot if your target is over the crest of the hill. So that's when you got like crest lines and stuff like that in the terrain. That'd be another good video to do for explaining terrain. Forests. If you fire into a forest, that loses its 2 ranks per inch into the woods. So you could go up to 6 inches inside the woods, because that's your 2. 1 inch is 2, 2 inches 4. Yes, so that would be 6 inches. You could shoot 6 inches into the woods, but you still have to have line of sight. Cannons are actual line of sight machines. That's basically it, really, for cannons. Pretty simple. The only other thing is that every time it fires, after the first time, it creates what's called a heat point. So you'd keep a tab of that. So every time it fires, it creates a heat point. After that heat point's, if you don't fire in a turn, then it gets rid of the heat point. But if you have more than 1 heat point, so every time you fire, more than 1 heat point, you roll a d6. If that d6 plus the heat point above 1, so let's say we've got 3 heat points, so that would be a d6 plus 2 heat points. And if that equals 6, then the cannon actually explodes. and that's the end of them. It would cause a automatic strength 7 hit on the crew, and they'd be deader than dead, unless you roll 3 ones. But I didn't do that. I rolled like 3, a 5, and a 6 or something. So yeah, they definitely went on through to the other side. But yeah, that's our deep dive into cannons. I'll do a few more rule ones, I think, and I've got some unboxings to do. I've got some plans for Dungeon Quest, actually, using that to as another option for the leaders in Mighty Empires. They can send someone, hire someone to go into the dungeon to get more gold that they can use to spend on troops and stuff. So been toying with that idea and yeah, thinking about that. But other than that, that's our deep dive into cannons. So just want to thank everyone for sticking around and definitely climbing that mountain together. Still got a mountain of painting to do, but we're getting there. And always remember, guys, stay cool, stay Oldhammer.